Welcome in, guys, to the I-80 Boys Sunday morning podcast here up and early. I am one of the co-hosts of this show, Chris Vaca. This gigantic fellow off to my left here is
hungover. How you doing?
That was a crazy game last night. I had to stay up and watch that one. Probably drank a little too many beers, but hey, here we are.
Chris, I was going to say, why don't we touch on that game here? I mean, you brought it up. Colorado wins in 2 overtimes against Colorado State. Some people, asked us what our predictions were, I guess, going into that game. I said it would be a closer game, obviously, than I think a lot of people realized, and that's ultimately what it turned out to be, I guess. What were your thoughts, though, watching Colorado struggle to win against Colorado State?
I'll say this, Colorado State, their quarterback, he didn't turn the ball over, I think 3 or 4 times there. They win this football game. I mean, State came right out of the gate. Christian got up. I think they were leading, like 21-14 at halftime. Came down to the wire, though. I mean, let's be honest, Colorado's got better football players than Colorado State. They did what they needed to win that game. But we said it was going to be closer than this. I thought Colorado State, there was a lot of hype. These two teams hate each other. We know that. I think last year, didn't Colorado have like a walk-off field goal, Christian, or some shit like that to beat them? That was their only win last year for Colorado. So, no, it was a good game. What do you think about Travis Hunter, though?
I think that's a huge loss as they get into a very pivotal part of their season, right? I mean, they play Oregon and USC back-to-back. Travis Hunter likely out for multiple weeks. We don't know. Again, this is kind of what you wonder as the season progresses on, is the depth of Colorado. How do they, kind of fare, especially as they get into what, I can't believe I'm saying this, that loaded Pac-12 schedule that they're getting ready to play. So good luck there.
That's going to be a tough one, man. They got Oregon and they got to turn around and play USC, dude. 2 teams that are pretty good football teams so far this year.
Zay says, salute to us, guys. He said, Chris, that beard's coming off.
Yeah, we'll see. I will say this, Colorado's got 3 wins. So,
hey, man,
you're halfway there.
I think I had him as like 4 or 5 before the season started. So, and you were a little bit lower on him, initially. But I don't know. I mean, Colorado might fuck around and be a 6-7 win team this year.
It's possible. I'll have to see it, man, against a big name team. I mean, I know I don't want to piss Colorado fans off. I've done enough of that so far, but I don't think that, TCU was a great team. I don't think Nebraska obviously is not a very good football team. And Colorado State, let's be honest, we're going to find out Saturday, man. I mean, I think they're 17-point underdogs right now against Oregon. So we're going to find out what Colorado's really made of. And I think their defense is highly suspect, man. I really do. They gave up over almost 400 yards through the air last night. And I think Colorado State had 3 receivers, if I saw that right, with over 100 yards.
Ooh. Jeez.
Yeah. Yikes.
Well, hats off to Colorado. Surely they're going to be a top 15. This is going to be a top 15 matchup when they play Oregon. So that'll be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
This Saturday. Chris, going to my dogs, Georgia Bulldogs here. They beat South Carolina in a very sloppy game, 24-14. I kind of felt like with Georgia, I knew this was a potential trap game I had circled on the calendar. This was that one game where, Spencer Rattler balled out, and especially in the first half. He was just dropping dimes, making runs, doing what he needed to do. And, South Carolina looked good. They gave Georgia a scare, but I think Georgia kind of pulled their head out of their ass, and they played much cleaner second half there.
Yeah, the big thing, Christian, I thought, and you said it best, Rattler played awesome the first half. He did what he needed to do there. They still can't run the ball. But the second half, though, I thought Kirby, whatever he said in the locker room or whatever adjustments they made defensively, dude, that to me was the most impressive thing about the game. That tells me that they're a good football team. They're well coached. We talk about it all the time about Nebraska, some of these other teams. Can you make adjustments? If you guys watch that game, second half, Georgia just played lights out on defense, pretty much controlled that game. Maybe, the score probably doesn't indicate that so much with a 10-point victory over South Carolina, but, out of the gate, South Carolina was coming out hot right away, Christian. They look good. I mean, they scored, what was the score at one time? 14-3, I think. I mean, hats off to Georgia for keeping in there, doing what a great team like Georgia does. But you called it, and we kind of said it a little bit that, South Carolina, Christian was on it all offseason, said this is one of the games that you got to watch out for if you're Georgia, and that kind of ended up being the case.
Well, and like you said too, Chris, I mean, just putting a ton of new pieces in there. I mean, the defense doesn't look as elite as I think as it has in years past. The offense is still figuring their way out, with Mike Bobo, who's back at the program, but he's got a first-time starter in Carson Beck. The running back room super banged up. I mean, just tough to be a dog there. Segue in here, we got Gator Swag. He says, "Go Gators." Let's talk about that a little bit, Chris. What were your thoughts about the Florida-Tennessee game?
Gators, I know you want me to come on here and say something good about Florida. You know what? Graham Mertz played okay last night. Florida, to me, is still not a great team. I'm sorry. Tennessee is just that bad. Tennessee is one of these things, man, where I just truly think that they had a flash in the pan season last year, and they're going back to mediocre 6-7 win seasons. I'm sorry. Hats off to Florida. They did what they needed to do last night. We called that game. I know you guys were in there, but just Milton, Christian, what the fuck, man? The guy was bouncing passes off the ground 10 yards in front of his receivers. I know he can throw it 100 miles, but he can't complete a 6-yard out route, buddy.
Hater. Hater. LOL. I'm going to do what Chris can't do and say I was wrong about Florida for this game. I was wrong about Florida for this game. I think Florida improved a lot on offense, right? I still think I'm not gonna completely 180 here, but I will say this, Chris. I think Florida offensively they came in, did what they wanted to do. They ran the ball. Graham Mertz played within himself. I think Tennessee's defense. I mean, honestly, they can't tackle. I mean, they just couldn't tackle, dude. I mean, that was so frustrating to watch. On offense, Tennessee was running the ball down their throat when they wanted to, and then they decided, let's just throw it every down, and they just imploded from there. And they kind of just kept giving the ball back to Florida in really opportunistic situations there.
Yeah.
Gator Swag says Mertz is a game manager. You're not wrong. I mean, Mertz is a game manager. That was his whole thing at Wisconsin. Great defense, great running games, right? Wide receivers were a little suspect, but that's the thing, can he take that game manager status and be successful in the SEC? I mean, listen, dude, I'm going to say this. The SEC is wide fucking open this year. Are they not?
Oh, my God, dude. The SEC right now, I don't know who the best team is. I'm going to say Georgia. I think LSU did what they needed to yesterday. We might touch on them a little bit, but they did what they needed to. But, Christian, the rest of the field, Alabama, we'll get into them. Holy shit. Tennessee, not looking great. I mean, Florida, yeah. Again, Christian said it. Yeah, I think that was one of my keys to the game for Florida. Mertz doesn't need to beat himself. His biggest problem at Wisconsin was the costly turnovers. He didn't do that last night, but they also didn't have to throw a ton because Tennessee's defense can't stop a nosebleed, dude. I mean, they might be worse than they were last year in defense after last night, dude. That tackling, you said it, was, god awful, dude. God awful. Bama fan on suicide watch. Yeah.
Let's get into it. Bama still, Saban mum on QB1 after Bama struggles versus USF. I mean, I don't think they have a QB on that fucking roster, to be honest with you. Hell, they'd be better off putting one of their fucking talented true freshman running backs in there and having them just try to run the fucking ball. Oh, wait, they did that. Yeah. It was Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, correct. Alabama, dude, this is why I do love doing this show, because Christian and I, guys, got laughed off the fucking internet all offseason, got made fun of. We're haters. We don't, murder ball's coming. We don't know what, they're winning a national title this year. Jalen Milroe is the next Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's what's thrown out there. This is awesome. I needed this year because Alabama is not a good football team. This is the worst Bama team I've seen in 15 years easily. They can't move the ball. They can't stop anybody, Christian. I mean, with the Nick Saban-led team, with their defense is always supposed to be great. We heard about how much better it was going to be this year than last year because their defense last year was suspect. They're not a good football team, Christian. They're just not. I don't know what else to say about Alabama. I'll let you piggyback off that.
Well, I got a question for you here. I mean, now that we touch on Bama, let me pull their schedule up here really quick. Put this on the screen. Is it Saban? What's the problem? I can't blame Saban. I just think here's what I think as I'm pulling this up here. I think with Saban, you replace coaches, you replace guys all the time, but eventually I don't give a shit who you are. That shit catches up with you, right? I think coming into this year, they really, really wanted Cliff Kingsbury and Jeremy Pruitt. They didn't get either one. You know what I'm saying? They got Tommy Reese and who's their defensive coordinator again? I can't remember.
That old Kevin Steele, the old man.
Kevin Steele, yeah, that's right. They got Kevin Steele, and they got a shit ton of new players. I mean, Tyler Buckner, his record at Notre Dame with Tommy Reese as his offensive coordinator was 1-2 as a starter. I mean, so what are we doing here? And one of those losses was against Marshall at home. I mean, he about fucked around and got beat with Alabama, arguably one of the most talented teams in all of college football.
I'll add to this a little bit, Christian. You're right. What you said about Tyler Buckner. We said he sucked. I mean, he sucked at Notre Dame. They didn't even want him. I mean, there was a reason why they went out and got Sam Hartman. I mean, and look at Notre Dame right now. Notre Dame's doing what they're supposed to be doing there. I will say this. I don't think it's Saban's the problem. It's got to be tough there because they go through coaches like crazy. I get all of that. But like Christian said, at the end of the day, though, and I think the biggest question for Alabama to me going forward is you guys don't have a quarterback. I can't believe I'm saying that. You guys went from Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, to Bryce Young. They got 3 guys on this roster, Christian, that I don't know if they would start at a D2 school from what I've seen so far. I'm serious. Like they're horrible. I mean, Buckner looked absolutely terrible in that game. Didn't Ty Simpson come in too? And he did nothing either.
Yeah. I mean, it's just struggle, dude. I mean, they basically had what they wanted to do in that game. By the way, Ty Simpson had 73 yards passing. 73 yards passing. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we fucking doing here? Come on.
Against a South Florida team that was 1-2.
Barn burners there.
Yeah,
just barn burners, dude.
You know what Bama's going to say, Christian, now? They're going to say, oh, it was the weather. It was wet and rainy and the delay. Just wait.
They stopped the game. They stopped the game, dude. I mean, come on. They stopped that fucking game and gave you better conditions to play. And you still came out flat. Now, here's the thing, Chris, right? As they get into SEC play the rest of the way here, except with the exception of Chattanooga, they might go 500, Chris. I mean, they legitimately might go 500 the rest of the way, which is a terrifying thought.
Yeah, I said that yesterday during the Tennessee game. I think Ole Miss is or not Ole Miss, but Bama's a 500 team. I mean, you touched on it. They got Ole Miss next week. I think that's going to be a good game. I know they got to go to A&M this year too. Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky. Look at that stretch, Christian. Woo. Woo. Yeah,
they got to play probably. What would you say their easiest games there is? At Mississippi State.
I would say so. Yeah.
I mean, Kentucky. I mean, here's the thing. Kentucky looked good yesterday. I didn't watch Auburn. Did Auburn play yesterday? If so, did they look good?
I don't know.
Is Auburn sitting here floating around? Did they lose yesterday and we don't fucking know it?
Let me look it up here. They're 3-0. They beat Samford yesterday. Samford, not Stanford. Samford, probably about the same team though. 45-13. They got A&M next week though. Auburn does at A&M. So that'll be we're going to find the old Auburn man who seems to hate me. We're going to find out what Auburn is next week against an A&M team that we've seen play some sort of competition so far this year.
Yeah, that's going to be that's going to get real interesting real quick. Speaking of which, Ole Miss blows the doors off Georgia Tech. Going to be a long rebuild if you're a Tech fan of any stretch of the imagination. You got to think here. Let's see. Get this dog shit Alabama Crimson Tide off of my page. There we go. All right. Looking at some of the other scores. Penn State, they beat Illinois at home. Illinois, not what we thought they were.
No, I was wrong. I'll say that about Illinois this year. The Big Ten West is just complete and utter garbage. You got Iowa sitting at the top of that now at 3-0. Christian said it best. Illinois is not a team that, a team that had the number one defense last year. Altmaier doesn't look like a good quarterback. They really don't run the ball as well as I thought they were going to this year under a Brett Bielema-led team. Penn State did what they had to there on the road, but Illinois is not a good football team, Christian. They're just not this year.
Agreed. Penn State making me eat my words. They're the only team I gave out a participation trophy to, I think, or one of them anyways. And they're going to fucking make me eat my words, Penn State. So, damn it. LSU blows the doors off Mississippi State 41-14. I'm telling you, LSU, I think, is the best team in the SEC this year, Chris.
I know you're big on them this year. I like them too. That loss to Florida State might come back to haunt them a little bit, but that's early in the season. I think if LSU can come out here and what we've seen, you said it from the SEC so far, I think LSU is going to pretty much run the table here up until probably the SEC title game. Honestly, they're going to beat Alabama this year, without a doubt, like a drum. I think.
I was going to say, again, looking at the East, I know, hey, Gator Swag's probably going to say Florida is going to come for the East this year. They might. Again, I don't know. We'll see. But assuming that Georgia wins out, does what they're supposed to do, and they match up against LSU in the SEC championship game, I think LSU beats them.
Yeah, the good thing is we got a lot of football left until then, but LSU probably looks like the best SEC team so far. But I give props to Georgia, and I know they're going to get better week after week just because of their coach. I just think that there's a lot of football to be played yet, though, Christian. But I'm with you. LSU, I like LSU. They look good. Georgia looks pretty good, in my opinion, especially in the second half. But we'll see. Yeah, the rest of the SEC, I have no fucking clue about the rest of them. I really don't.
Gator Swag says Ole Miss looks the best right now. Ole Miss hasn't played anybody.
Yeah, guys haven't played a single soul though.
That's the hard thing. Here's the thing, and like the reason, Will says LSU better than Georgia. I would say right now, just because Georgia's played 2 cupcake games and they came out flat, and both, Georgia in every game they've played this year, Chris, has started the first half off super terribly.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively. And then for whatever reason, they fucked around and they figured it out in the second half, which is great. But if you do that against some of these other schools, like a Tennessee that figures out how to play offense at some point and learns how to tackle, you're going to be in trouble. You play Ole Miss. Again, I'm pretty sure they play Ole Miss. Let me take a look here.
Yeah, it's like the second or third last game of the season, I think.
Let's see. Maybe I'm thinking about this wrong.
Yeah, they do.
No,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they play at home versus Ole Miss. I was gonna say if they play that game on the road, it's a whole different game there for Georgia.
Yeah. And to add to this, Gator Swag says Ole Miss the best team. Like I said, they haven't played anybody. The best team they beat this year was a Tulane team without Michael Pratt. I think if Michael Pratt probably plays in that Tulane game last week, I think that game's a lot closer. But Ole Miss is doing what they have to. They're winning. You're gonna find out this weekend against Alabama. That'll. And I'd like to see what the spread is on that game because I'm probably putting some money on Ole Miss, man, from what I've seen from Bama so far.
The darlings of the SEC, Mizzou, beating number 15 Kansas State on a 61-yard field goal as time expires at home. Chris, I watched that game. I know you said, hey, Mizzou looked really, really good. I just think Kansas State was really flat in that game, and Mizzou came out and they did exactly what they needed to do to win that game.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I was high on K-State, and I think I was wrong about them a little bit. I thought that was a really good game. It was really back and forth. K-State, though, did come out, especially in the second half. They looked like they didn't change anything. The first half, they were getting torched through the air by that Cook guy. And then K-State had a chance to do something at the end with the ball twice. Couldn't even move the fucking ball. Hats off to Missouri, though. The kid that kicked the 61-yarder, that's a big boy kicking the football. But, man, he drilled that. Hats off Mizzou. By the way, that was the first game Mizzou had sold out in 4 years. Looked like it was worth it, man. It was a good football game to watch.
Agreed. Gator Swag says who would win, Florida or Alabama? From what I watched yesterday and what we've been seeing, I wouldn't be shocked if Florida beat the dog shit out of Alabama this year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one right now. That's even tough for me to say, and I don't even think Florida's that great. But Bama looks terrible. I mean, they look terrible against Texas. They looked terrible yesterday. At least Florida. I mean, they did what they needed to yesterday against a Tennessee team. Yeah, I might lean Florida right now. Alabama's that bad, dude. That's where I'm at with them.
I agree. Speaking about being bad, number 3 Florida State finds a way to survive at Boston College yesterday, 31-29. Ugly game, but sometimes you got to figure out a way to get it done. I mean, Chris. So, what was your thoughts about Florida State?
I was a little worried. You guys know me. I have Florida State running the table this year. They got down in this game, and then they did what they should have done, made some adjustments, got up 31-10. I thought this game was over. I turned it off. Shit, I get a thing on my ticker, Christian. I think you were talking to me on the phone, actually. Some bitch, Boston College comes roaring back. It's 31-29. A couple minutes left. Jordan Travis got beat up a little bit, too, in that game, too, by the way. Hats off, though, Boston College for coming back. You don't see that a lot in college football teams. Usually, once they get down by 3 scores, they give up. But Florida State did what they needed to. I hope they learned something in this game, though.
We got Drusifer right there talking about it. Longtime fan of the show, super nerd Drusifer right there. If he's not here, you can find him on Twitch or wherever they stream video games at. Drusifer, go check him out. Lot Lizards looked good last night. Drew, you were not wrong, buddy. They did what they needed to do, and this man lives in the state of Tennessee. So that's always tough if you're a Florida fan in the state of Tennessee. Nebraska or Alabama, I mean, pick the worst quarterback. Seriously, who's going to have the most dog shit quarterback that plays the best in that matchup? That to me, I don't know. I still think Bama would probably win that game. It wouldn't be a pretty game, but I still think Bama would win.
Yeah, I would have to lean Alabama. Like I said, I haven't seen anything from Nebraska. We found out what Minnesota was yesterday, Christian, and that's not much, especially offensively. So that game against Nebraska doesn't mean shit to me. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. There's no quarterbacks in those two teams. I will say Harburg for Nebraska played all right yesterday. He didn't turn the ball over at least 7 times.
Right, dude. They did what they needed to do against NIU. So Duke takes care of business against Northwestern, exactly what they're supposed to do. I don't think we really need to touch on that. Iowa started off really slow against Western Michigan, and they've rebounded to put 41 points up on them. I didn't know they could score 40 points in the state of Iowa.
I would like to say, like I told you, I don't know the last time Iowa scored 40 points in a football game. I mean, this might have been back in the Drew Tate days. I don't remember.
I don't even think Ferentz was roaming the sidelines then.
No, I don't think he was. I will say this, though. Does Brian Ferentz get a raise now that he got over his contract obligation of 24 points a game in a game this year? I don't know. Good for them.
I think that offense came alive in the second half. I think it's yet to be seen against a legit Power 5 school.
I agree.
Minnesota, UNC. There's a game we talked about. We said coming into this, hey, I'm going to know a lot more about how good is Minnesota coming into this game, and they were bad. I mean, they just couldn't stop UNC, and they couldn't score. That offense could not score.
No, I watched most of this game. Their offense just can't move the ball. They just can't. They look that AK8 kid. I know he's supposed to be a thrower of the ball, but they couldn't run the ball. Minnesota is known for running the ball. They couldn't run the ball worth the shit yesterday. They couldn't throw it. North Carolina is doing what they need to do after a close game against App State last week, and they have that big win against South Carolina. North Carolina handled business yesterday. Minnesota is just not a good football team. Iowa's leading the Big Ten West right now. I mean, and I hate to say that's kind of sad because there's just nobody else in the West. Illinois is shit the bed. Nebraska doesn't look like a good football team. Purdue, I mean, I don't know who the best team in the West is, but it's definitely not Minnesota.
Gator Swag, by the way, he says, did y'all see that game where someone scored 91 points? I had to look it up. By the way, that's Portland State.
Did they get beat by that? By Oregon?
They lost to Oregon. What was it, like 81-7? So they beat somebody 91-0.
Wow.
It was North American University, which they might have to change their name after that to Canada because I think they just gave up at a certain point. But, I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, what does that say about Oregon?
Holy shit. That's a lot of fucking points, though, man. That's a lot of points. A college game. I've seen high school scores like that, but whoop, dropping a 90 burger on somebody? Damn.
Jeez, son.
Jesus.
Do we think Florida should be ranked?
Trish, I'll let you answer that, and I'll fire back. Yeah, I might have lost Christian there. Might have lost him. I'll answer your question, though, Swag. That's a tough question. I think they're close. The one loss to Utah doesn't look so bad now. Utah's obviously 3-0. So if Florida, I think Florida is ranked. You know what? You guys knocked off a Tennessee team. I'll give you I like that. About 23rd. I'll take that. Let's see. Will's laughing out loud. He's an Oregon man. That's got to be a real test for Colorado against Oregon. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the spread on that, Oregon's favored by 17 right now currently. So that game will be very, very, very interesting and to see what happens. There he is. Little technical difficulties over there for Christian.
What did you say? Florida should be ranked number 1 in the country, Chris?
No, I did say, the more I thought about it, I was going to, man, they're close. And then what I did say, I told Gator Swag, I said, look, you know what? They beat a ranked number 11 Tennessee team. They lost. Their only losses to a Utah team that's 3-0. So yeah, I think they deserve to be ranked. I'll put Florida maybe right in the top 25, somewhere in there.
Drew says that's going to be. I need another week. I need another week to see it. That's the real thing. I mean, I think they. Obviously, I mean, they're 2-1 right now. They're close. They're close. I think if they win, obviously, next week, then they should be in. But Drew says that's going to be the real test for Colorado was against Oregon.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Colorado, they might honestly do that. I think they're going to struggle in that one.
Yeah, you guys know my love for Colorado. I think Oregon's that good. I do think Oregon's a really good football team. I think Washington's a really good football team over there. I don't see Colorado without, and they don't have Travis Hunter. He's going to be out for this game. He's a big piece of that. Shedeur Sanders looks awesome so far. He looks like an elite quarterback. Looks like a top 3 draft pick right now, to be honest with you. That was floating around this week on the internet. But their defense, Colorado has some serious problems on the defensive side of the ball, and I just don't see a veteran-led team with Bo Nix. I think that game's going to be a shootout, even if Colorado wants to keep it close, because I don't think they're going to shut down Oregon at all on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I think Oregon's going to be able to score at will. But hey, you know what? We've said that all year with Colorado. Colorado's one of those teams that they shock you. Yep. They just shock you every time they play. Washington, number 8 Washington, beats the dog shit out of Michigan State, 41-7.
Yeah, Michael Penix looking elite over there, by the way. Washington's a good football team. Very good football team.
I agree. The Penis Jr. looked really good, man. I mean, he was able to go out there, do what he needed to do. Like I said, I think Washington's the team to beat right now in the Pac-12.
I think so. They've looked better, especially defensively, than USC has. I will say that too.
Let's see here. Who else played? Oregon blows out Hawaii.
Yeah, to be expected.
Let's see. Texas over. Is Wyoming that team, Chris? Is Wyoming, I guess, last year's Texas Tech, where they just?
I don't know, man. It's funny. Like Wyoming, they had that big win, that double overtime win against Tech this year to start the season. That was a big upset. I lost some money on that game. Quite a large sum, to be honest. They hang around, man. I don't know. I mean, do you think Texas maybe was going to be a little down after that big victory at Alabama? I don't know. You could throw that out there too, but Wyoming, though, hanging with Texas. I didn't get to see much of that game, so I can't talk about it a ton. But Texas did what they needed to stay at number 4. But I don't know, man. What do you think? What's your thoughts on Wyoming? What's your thoughts on Texas after that big win at Bama? And we find out maybe Bama's just not very good.
I think Texas is all. If you're Texas, all you got to do is just do what you're supposed to do. Just survive. That's all you got to do. Just come out and survive. And then you just win the pack. Here's the thing. I'm going to know Excuse me. I'm going to know everything I need to know about Texas when they play Oklahoma.
Okay, I got a question for you. Speaking of that, who's the second best team in the Big 12 right now?
Ooh, I would say Oklahoma.
I would agree.
I mean,
TCU, no. K-State, nope. Texas Tech,
Yeah, I mean, because let's see. I mean, Kansas State lost, to Mizzou, so I can't really. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say Oklahoma. Oklahoma's ranked number 19, and I'm sure they're going to keep going up. So,
yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think Oklahoma probably is currently second best team in the Big 12. But you're right, Texas. All they got to do is do what they need to do. Hang on, and they'll win the Big 12 this year. Find themselves probably in a playoff spot.
What was your guys' thoughts on the Week 3 matchups in college football? It was very interesting. Definitely. If you were betting, it was probably a really tough weekend.
Yeah,
depending on how you bet.
Yeah, I came out about even, but I was pretty disappointed. Some of those games, but yeah, it was a weird week though. We've seen that though. I said that, Christian. This was like, it wasn't like a big marquee slate of games this weekend, and there was a lot of like plus 10. Whatever underdogs, even what was the spread on the Georgia South Carolina game? We jumped all over that right away. Wasn't it like 28,
27 and a half? Yeah, something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, there was a lot of games that were surprisingly close, I think, yesterday. It makes for good football, man. It makes for good football.
I agree. Let's see here. A couple of shocking things here. BYU 3-0, Kansas 3-0. Oklahoma 3-0, UCF is 3-0 as well.
Wow,
to go alongside of Texas.
Wow, that is. Yeah, you look at the teams there at the bottom, like K-State with one loss, Cincinnati. I don't even know anything about Oklahoma State anymore, but yeah, West Virginia 2-1 for a team that I thought was probably going to have to fire Neil Brown. Christian, 2-1, they're doing what they need to.
Oh, I agree, Chris. I mean, they're doing exactly what they need to do. If you're West Virginia, I mean, they played Penn State semi-close, for about a half, and then obviously fell apart down the stretch there. But I mean, this is that. If you're Neil Brown, I mean, this is a prove-it year where you've got to win probably 7-8 games.
I think so. I think so. I think definitely get to a bowl game. They got a chance probably for 7. I agree. I was wrong on them. I didn't think they were going to be worth a shit this year. They've won a few games that I'm pretty impressed with for West Virginia.
I mean, Chris, they got a real shot here, dude. I mean, as they get back into Big 12 play. I mean, Texas Tech, I don't think they're what we thought they were going to be. Still going to be a tough game. TCU, they could probably match up pretty well at TCU. Houston, I mean, just looking at the schedule and trying to keep everything, within context here. I don't know. West Virginia could come out, and if they go 500, they might fuck around and still figure out a way to get 6-7 wins out of the schedule.
No, I agree. Like I said, man, Big 12's wide open. I mean, there's Texas, Oklahoma, and probably about everybody else in that conference, to be honest with you.
Who else? Who are you? So we touched on some teams that we were really high on. We touched on some teams that we were really low on yesterday. Chris, anything else you really want to add to it, man?
I'll say this about – I wanted to touch on the Pac-12 real quickly. I mean, Washington State went out and blew out somebody last night. UCLA did the same thing, Christian. They got 8 teams rated in the top 25 right now. I know we've talked about this a little bit off air and on air, but and then just seeing the way the SEC has looked so far, Christian, would you say the Pac-12 is the best conference in America right now after 3 weeks of football?
Yeah, I would say as it sits right now, yeah, they absolutely are.
Okay.
Without a doubt. By the way, looking at some of the offensive leaders here, Michael Penix Jr., 100 or one, leading the nation right there. 1,300 yards. Shedeur Sanders, number 2 on the list. Yeah. AJ Swan and Sam Hartman rounding out that top 5 there, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Vandy's got to get in shootouts every game, so they got to throw the ball.
Oh, God. Do
that. Pac-12's got a slew of quarterbacks, man. I mean, I think Bo Nix, all those dudes, all going to get drafted in the first round this year. If you're an NFL team looking for a quarterback, you guys might as well tank this year. There's a bunch of
them. There definitely is. How about this, Chris? 2 Wake Forest defenders coming in here to be 1 and 2 on the sacks this year. It's kind of will probably help keep Wake Forest in a lot of these games. Speaking of Wake Forest, how are they doing this year?
Did they get beat yesterday by Old Dominion? I think they did.
They might have, dude.
I think they did. an Old Dominion team that I don't even know where that's from. Is that out of Virginia? I don't even know where the hell that school's located. I know they play basketball over there, but yeah,
Wake, like,
yeah, is it
like Washington? Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. Chat, you guys know? Where's Old Dominion located? I'm going to say Virginia. I have no idea.
Chris is so old over there, he thinks he can just use chat like it's Siri. Where is Old Dominion? Wake Forest is 3-0, Chris.
Oh, they did beat Old Dominion at the end there. Holy shit. I know they were down like 17-3. Okay. They pulled it out, Christian. Ugly, but they pulled it out. Damn. Okay. Okay. Watch out for Wake Forest, man. They don't need Sam Hartman. Fuck it.
Wake Forest is going to fuck around and end up winning the ACC. Do you believe that?
No. You go on air and say that online, man. Say that again.
Felt wrong saying. I mean,
yeah.
Shit. If Clemson plays like dog shit, I mean, I think they can definitely beat Georgia Tech if they keep playing within themselves here. That Clemson game is going to be a real test for them. But looking at their schedule, I mean, again, Wake Forest, dude. God, they got to run that gauntlet. They got to play Clemson, Florida State, Duke, Notre Dame. I mean, yeesh. Norfolk, Virginia.
Yep. I thought I got it right. Son of a bitch.
Well, hey, sometimes you got to give an old dog a bone.
Yep, exactly. Especially when it's hard to read. Like, you get to my age here, I'm gonna have to come on and get some of those glasses here pretty soon.
Well, at least you can read. Us Southerners sometimes, man, we struggle with it. So.
Where's Children of the Corn at today? Speaking of somebody that was struggling Dawkins last night, holy shit, man! He had a few Busch Lights, I think, over there.
He might have been taking that NIU victory a little too far, a little too far.
I love Children of the Corn, man. Long time subscriber, good guy. Calls in, but yeah, he was fired up last night.
He was getting there. He was getting there. I was off a little bit. Y'all goaded me into saying that Nebraska was going to lose, and of course, right when Nebraska just doesn't do what you want them to do,
no,
right? I mean, you start saying, okay, they're going to lose to NIU, they fuck around and end up beating them, and then next week against La Tech, I'll just I think I got to take Nebraska again, Chris. Not to continuously bring up Nebraska on the show, but Jeff Sims, I mean. If Matt Rule starts him next week and he struggles, I mean, that could get real interesting real quick down there in Lincoln.
Yeah, I think they need to stick with Heinrich back there. I think they need to, man. He did play pretty well. I think he was like 14-24. I'm just going off the top of my head here. I think he had a couple touchdown passes. He did run the ball 21 times, man. I don't know if I necessarily love that. But if you're Nebraska and Matt Rule, I think you got to stick with the hot hand right now, man. Nothing against Jeff Sims, but this is La Tech, Christian. I didn't pull up their schedule. I'm assuming they're probably like 2-1 or something like that. But they got to keep it going here if you're Nebraska. They need to get another win under their belt because we all know who's coming to Lincoln in 2 weeks, and that's a team I don't want any part of in Michigan. I don't know. I think they need to just stick. I'm happy they made the move to go over to Heinrich, or Harburg, but you got to be able to against Northern Illinois, Christian. They did what we thought they were going to do, right? I mean, for the most part, like defense played well. I think Nebraska's defense is actually pretty good. I will say that much more improved from last year's, but offensively though, they still got a lot of question marks.
Oh, I agree with you. And by the way, Gators Run the East says some good games this week. He's not wrong. We can take a slate look at that. I mean, let's kind of preview that. Wisconsin at Purdue, the Struggle Bus Bowl. See who wins that on Friday night.
Hey, we didn't talk about Wisconsin, Christian. Do we need to bring it up? I know you've been waiting, and if you guys don't know, I had Wisconsin going 10-2 this year. Christian said, "Put the crack pipe down," and I'm looking like a fool so far.
Well, the thing about Wisconsin was, Georgia Southern. They wanted to kind of go with Clay Helton. They wanted to kind of throw the ball all over the field. And I'll be honest, dude, that kid had 6 interceptions in that game. I mean, and it's not like, oh my God, it wasn't like Wisconsin was coming up, cracking that kid in the mouth and forcing him to just, throw terrible passes. I mean, the kid just threw terrible passes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. God damn it. Hold on one second here. They beat Boston College, who nearly beat Florida State. and Vanderbilt beat Hawaii, who beat Akron, who beat USF, who almost beat Alabama.
Mike, I love the positivity, man. But I can't say Nebraska's. I can't say really anything. They did what they probably should have done against the Northern Illinois team who couldn't move the ball.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Mike. By the way, it's all love out here. This isn't trying to be rude or anything like that. How'd Minnesota look against UNC yesterday? How'd Colorado look against Colorado State?
Yeah.
And that's the reality of the situation. I think Nebraska, they needed to get that win. I think they found themselves a quarterback, and I think that's awesome. But we got to get a little more juice than that, right?
Yeah, they need to turn around this week against La Tech, not to stick on Nebraska here, but they need to do the same thing. They need to win convincingly again and get some sort of momentum going into this Michigan game, guys. By the way, I don't expect Nebraska to even play with Michigan regardless, but then they turn around and play Illinois. So at Illinois. So that's one of those things. If Nebraska needs to get some wins here, you're going to have to start getting the momentum train going here because it's going to get pretty tough when we get into the Big Ten here. And I'm not saying the Big Ten West is any good. It's just Nebraska's – I just don't know if they're that good at football team.
By the way, talking about the game of the week, Marshall, Virginia Tech. Talk about a real barn burner over
there. Oh, boy.
No.
Holy shit, we're stretching there.
Yeah, we're stretching, son. But let's seriously, though, like Gator Swag says, buy your Gator stuff. Go to East Tennessee and, talk your shit if you're a Gator man. You got to love it. Looking ahead at some of the games, Florida State at Clemson, that's going to be a really interesting. Texas A&M plays Auburn, Kentucky and Vandy. It's worth noting there. Ole Miss at Bama, UCLA at Utah, Oregon and Colorado.
Woo, a lot of good games.
Let's see. Tennessee takes on UTSA, the Roadrunners.
Upset alert.
Upset alert. LSU plays Arkansas. That's a game that we got some flack for right there.
Baby, go Razorbacks, baby. Come on. Get on the board, man. Get on board. I have them in my top 25. Let's go.
Texas plays Baylor. Georgia goes back to playing nobody in UAB, the Trent Dilfer Wanderers. Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Christian, if you had to pick right now, who are you taking in that one?
Notre Dame all day.
I love it. But Ohio State put up 63 points yesterday, Christian. Against Western Kentucky.
Yeah, but
I need to get on top of that one too because I am going to lean Notre Dame. I think, man. I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm going to lean Notre Dame at home. That's huge for Notre Dame. That's going to be a good game though. And Notre Dame's looked really good this year, by the way.
I agree. Notre Dame has come out. They've done exactly what they needed to do. I don't think they've looked flat, really at any point this season. I mean, there's a couple times where they've kind of gotten out of sync, but they're still doing what they need to do, man. Taking care of business. I think this is a year. Where they kind of pull it off and they finally get Ohio State's number here and they put it all together. Penn State, Iowa. That's got an interesting one right there. Can Iowa figure out a way to put up 28 points or more in this one? That's going to be the real question for me.
Penn State's defense pretty salty. Their offense hasn't necessarily clicked yet this year, but the defense is pretty damn good. I don't know if Iowa could score 14 in that game, to be honest.
North Carolina at Pitt. I know Pitt right now, they're what, like a 1-2 team?
Another team I was completely off on this year. I give up on ACC schools, so.
Pitt might fuck around, and they might make this an interesting game against North Carolina.
That's, it could happen. I just don't know if Pitt, their offense does not look good under Narduzzi right now, and I'm surprised so far this year. I really am.
Will says Penn D. Leggett. What is that, like a Harry Potter spell?
I'm hoping he's saying legit, I would assume. But, yeah, I think
dude. Can't read.
I can't hear, so I get here we are doing a podcast. Perfect.
Yeah, see, you say shit like that, and then you sit here and think I'm getting AARP to send you shit in the email.
You are. Just admit it, man. I mean, quit fucking around. I know you are. I know they never sent me anything before until you mentioned it online, and then all of a sudden they're flooding my fucking email inbox, man.
It's because they took one look at you, Chris. We started putting content out. And they took one look at you and said, "Holy shit, this homeless gentleman needs some ARP discounts over there.
Yeah,
He's
no
old
shit.
as fuck."
Yeah, I am old, man. You guys aren't wrong.
Tennessee loses to UTSA. I don't know about that.
UTSA, by the way, was supposed to be one of these group of 5 schools that was kind of like Tulane was supposed to be pretty good this year. They just haven't looked at. They got beat by Army last week, Friday night. So
yeah.
I think Tennessee at home rebounds. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sold on Tennessee or anything, but I don't think they can lose that game. I just don't see it.
I think Tennessee's going to beat the dog shit out of UTSA, and that pains me to say that, obviously, because I got family that are, alum of UTSA, but still.
Do they start? I'm going to leave you. I mean, do you start that kid over Milton? Milton looked terrible last night. Let's just throw it out there. He looked horrible. I don't know any other word to use.
Chris, here's my thing, right? I'm one of these guys, right? If I'm running a program, right, and I became coach of insert any 0-3 school right now, right, or any team that's got one loss right now. It's really tough to say because one loss. To me, here's the way I look at it, right? One loss, you could still make the playoff. If you fuck around, just win out, do what you're supposed to do. Tennessee could still make the playoff. Do I think that's going to happen based off what I saw last night? Probably not. I mean, Gator Swag's got them 8-4 this year. They might be a 7, 8, 9 win team this year. If you get to 2 losses, this is what I'm doing. I'm sitting Milton, and I'm putting the young kid in. I'm letting him get his reps.
Okay.
Right. But that's only once we hit 2 losses, right? If we're still in contention for this thing, start Milton because you got a shot this year.
Yeah, I mean, you would agree though he's going to have to start playing better if they want to win 7 or 8, 9 games. Though, I mean, I thought he looked atrocious last night throwing the football. I mean, he couldn't hit a slant route to save his life.
Well, not only that, but I mean the play calling too. I mean,
I agree.
Heupel, that was, I mean, that's probably about as bad, I think, of a Josh Heupel play calling decision that I've seen in a long time. I mean, they were running the ball when they should have been trying to throw it, and then they were trying to throw the ball all game when they should have just been running it, right? I mean, that's some shit like South Carolina would do.
Yeah, no, I just, like I said, I think the play calling was terrible. I don't know how many wide receiver screens they ran last night. I don't know what the hell that was all about. I mean, it was like every other play, but I just think Tennessee, man, they got some work to be done. I thought their defense was going to be better this year too, but I don't think that's the case. But you said it. A lot of season left to be played. Can Tennessee get it turned around? They need to in a hurry. SEC schedule starts ASAP.
I agree. Well, Chris, we're getting ready to approach the hour-long mark here. We got a couple hours, then the NFL kicks off. So we're going to probably get ready for that here. Again, appreciate the love, appreciate the support, guys. Be sure to hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and be sure to comment. Obviously, it helps the algorithm, which I just learned about today. Chris, any final thoughts before we get off here?
Not really. Appreciate, like Christian said, you guys all jumping in here. This is kind of what this Sunday show's, kind of going to be here. Is just you guys and we breaking down the slate of games for next week, talking about kind of what, happened last night. Like I said, I love the diversity of teams in this chat, Christian. It's kind of fun. We got people from everywhere, which is a lot of fun. We got Nebraska people. We got Wisconsin. Dan wasn't in here today, but we got Will from Oregon, Daniel from Washington, Gator Swag. Obviously, we know where the hell he's from. But no, it's been fun, guys, so far. I appreciate you guys joining in.
Yeah, I appreciate the love and support too, you guys. Gator Swag says Auburn beats Georgia. Florida, I'm pretty sure they lost their bye week. So let's be honest there, Gator Swag. We will catch you guys on Wednesday.